lasted about 2 months. And then I had to sadly say, I can't see them anymore. So at that point I said, well, I'll just still come, but I'll just sit on the sidelines because I can't see the dice. So what's the point? And they said, absolutely not. And although there wasn't a way for me to really read the dice easily, without slowing the game down, now I just roll and they just tell me what I roll, and they never lie. I get bunko more than any of them. I tell you, they never lie. I get bunko. I've won lots of money from these ladies, and I'm the blind girl and I can't even see the game. So, but what it has gotten me out of is scorekeeping, which is awesome because I hated keeping score because that meant you had to pay attention. And I would rather just talk and with the friends. So those kind of things is that we have to make adjustments when we can't play in the usual way. So although there really wasn't a fix for me to play bunco, my friends made the adjustment so I could still play. They weren't going to leave me behind. They said, absolutely not. You're part of our group and you're going to still play. And we're still playing. We're going on like 16 years as a group, and I still play with them every month. We've had people in the group talk about family game night and how they played games with their kids. And that all kind of came to a screeching halt when they couldn't see cards, or couldn't play the board games. And sometimes you can play games again as like a team effort. Games like apples to apples, you may be holding cards, but you have someone that's reading you the cards, and it's not quite as fun because, maybe you just want to know your own cards and no one else knows your cards. And, maybe you want to do it yourself. So there are games out there for folks who are visually impaired and cards out there for folks who are visually impaired.
Yeah, Maria, actually, one of my favorite LH1 lives is when we started talking with a couple of moms that were recently affected. And we were just started to chat on one of the LH1 live calls that we had. And someone was like, well, we don't have game night anymore. And we're like, wait, stop. And so we kind of broke down all of those games, and it was one of the coolest calls. Actually, the goosebumps I'm talking about it, because it was just like newfound joy, honestly. And we were like, oh, those Uno cards are awesome. Don't get the big ones, get the smaller ones. You can still see them. They're not, but they're hard to shuffle. Like all of those kind of tips and tricks that we had to be able to share with somebody newly affected or just still trying to like bust out game night. And so, yeah, we kind of walk them through like, there's some cards, there are playing cards, and there's get the 2 decks because it's easier. They have the big numbers and the big symbols on them. Make sure you do that. Or, just kind of having those and knowing that there's so many different variations of games for visually impaired out there, but it takes someone that's maybe bought a few or kind of tried it out to know what you should actually be buying. And so we kind of have trucked through that. So Maria and I had so many cool conversations as Maria's Vanna Whiting over here, this gigantic Uno deck. But the tricky part is that's not the Uno deck I bought, because I bought it without talking to everyone on LH1 Live. I bought the gigantic 8.5 by 11, and you had to like throw them on the kitchen floor and then realize how much dirt was on your kitchen floor, and then you picked them up. These are manageable. So it's using the resources in the community here to realize there's a different size. So it's pretty cool. It's a great opportunity to be able to connect, but this is where I was going to be able to learn. So as Maria and I were kind of talking about let's jazz it up. What's the fun stuff that like we still do? And it's games, it's gadgets. So and that's kind of where this kind of came from, but also the call.
Yeah, I think these Uno cards would be like 5 by 7. So I think they're manageable. Yeah, I think so. Yeah. So, so Uno game cards. And then as she was talking about regular playing cards, I bought some, and they just have a large a 7 on them and then a 1 heart on, and it could be white on a black background. So it's high contrast. Or they could be on a red background, white on red, which isn't quite as contrasty, but it'll just have 1 number and 1 of the suits. And that's all that's on the card. So it makes it really easy. The hard part is trying to tell everyone else why the cards are that way, because people go, why does it look like this? And they're like, because it's easier for me or whoever is visually impaired to be able to play the Go Fish or the Gin Rummy or whatever the game is. And I've tried to play a few times with my mom, who loves to play a good card game. And the hardest part was explaining why the cards looked the way they looked. And I was like, because I can see it, Mom, I can see it. Oh, right. That's right. So we'd continue on playing like Go Fish, and she'd still go, why does it only have one heart? Mom, it's because that's what I can see. So anyway, so we do have some playing cards as well. I did mention there was a raffle. So yeah, so then we have some folks that have talked about checkers. And we went on Amazon and we just had so much fun looking through all of them, but they make checkerboards, the size of rugs, really, but who's got room for that? So they have checkerboards that are, a pretty big size with really big round checkers. Again, high contrast. It's the black squares, red squares on a light colored background. So it makes it a little bit easier to play. And again, just something else to be able to play with your kids, with your partner, by yourself. I guess you could, but something else. Again, we don't want to feel like we can't participate in a game that maybe we like to play, or that we can offer as an alternative to game night with friends or family.
Yeah, it's been so fun. Like ever since Maria and I had this conversation, I've bought a lot more like larger games. There's a gigantic Connect Four out there. If anyone has a backyard, I'm just saying it's so cool. But the coolest thing is that I've been buying them for my house and having friends and family over, and it's made a world of difference because, well, now that we're out of obviously the pandemic, I can host game night at my house now. I love to cook. I love to be able to do all this, but to me, it was just like, what are we gonna do? You can only play like ask 20 questions to Alexa for so long. And what can we do to kind of re-interact? And so having game night at my house for the first time a few weeks ago was an absolute blast. It was so fun for me to entertain. It was so fun for me to have people over. And it was beautiful in Colorado, so we can't really beat it. So that's a cool thing that we just wanted to share, is that there's so much to still do. I mean, shout out to all the families out here today. There's so much to bring us back together. Shout out to friends, everyone that's here to support. What can we do better and differently together instead? What else? What other games do we have over there?
Yeah, I think we head in. That's really the games. We can head into gadgets, but when folks first come to this world, if you will, they kind of don't know where to look. You can go on Amazon and type in visually impaired games or games for visually impaired. And there's other Maxi Aids, there's other websites that carry games as well. So don't think there's nothing out there for those who are affected, because there's tons of stuff. We even saw some tic-tac-toe games that are big X's and O's. Those are out there. But yeah, I think there's more to do than ask Alexa or Google, to play song games and trivia, stuff like that.
Totally.
Yeah, they tend to shut down after a while and say, haven't you had enough? We're done talking. Anyway, all right. So gadgets.
Where would life be without gadgets, right? There's so much to that, because I mean, so often, and I can roll into like my world of accessibility, because that's my space, but so many things in our lives are around accessibility and making things better, but they weren't always for blind and visually impaired. It was often for being hands-free and things like that, like the Alexas and the Googles. But there's so many other gadgets that really kind of make life for us easier. I believe Dr. Denome said her first thing she recommended was organization. I call it blind girl nesting, but it's like the same thing. But in order to get organized and kind of like make these tools work for us, right? Like, how can I be able to be most efficient? I have things like one of my favorite tips and tricks is that I have my Alexa tell me, like specifically, I don't know when to give my dog his heart guard medicine. I have no idea. And 1 month later, I have no idea where I put it. So in 1 month, I tell Alexa, hey, in 1 month, remind me, I put Jax's heart guard medicine next to the sugar. That's weird right now. Next to the sugar, and remind me to give it to him at 5 p.m. 1 month from today. Because I know I'm home at 5 p.m. And then she goes, do you want me to send you a text message when that happens? And I said, absolutely. And so maybe I'm not home at 5 p.m. 1 month from today, who knows, but I get a text message and I quickly know where it is and what to do and what time. So just kind of having those gadgets work for us, but yeah.
Absolutely. We're a Google family, so we do okay Google, and being able to talk everything, setting timers, setting alarms. I know we can do that all on our phones too, but just to have one in the kitchen, maybe one in the bedroom, one in my office, play music. And again, there is play Jeopardy, play trivia, play song quiz, different things like that. Look up this, look up that, play this video, just all by voice, which is really, really nice when you can't. Now, it's not perfect for sure, right? But it's really, really nice when you can't, go up there and tap the screen like sighted folks can, is you can just talk it all the way through. I think it's a great thing to have, a great device to have in a home for someone who's visually impaired.
Now, speaking of blind girl nesting, Maria, walk me through your favorite or your like most favorite organizations.
Okay. So my super favorite blind girl or blind boy thing, okay, we're inclusive here, is something that I was told on a phone call I had with another gal who is affected. Her name is Candace Hanny. And she was one of the first moms I spoke to. And I was chatting with her, and I was just going through all these things, all these things. And she just listened and listened and listened and went, I get it. I get it. I get it. I get it. And one of the things she told me was in her bathroom, she uses a travel bathroom kit, that you would take usually for travel. And she hangs it on her door. Blind girl, we hung it upside down. She hangs it on her door. She hangs it on her door or a towel rack. And so Jessica's hanging up what is one of like a toiletry kit. And you can get them, it's all kinds of shapes and sizes. They have tons of little pockets and nooks and crannies, zippers, things like that. And I hang one of these up on the back of my door in my bathroom. And I'm going to say what I'm doing for those who are affected. But in some of the pockets, I'll put my toothpaste, my toothbrush, my deodorant, my face wash, my makeup wipes, my lotion, my face lotion, my tweezers, my nail clippers, dental floss. They all have a little place within the toiletry kit that's hanging on the back of my door. I don't have anything on my sink counter at all. And I know which pocket and where to go each and every time. No one touches it. First of all, no one touches it. And it's all organized and sorted just for me. And then when it's time to go on a trip, I just take it off the hanger, off the door, and I just, put in maybe a few more things in it, fold it up, zip it up, it's ready to go. And when I go home, I'll undo it, hang it right back up. And everything it's in its place every single time. And it's been one of the best tips that I got from the very, very beginning. And I've had one ever since, and that was 9 years ago. So that's what Jessica was just holding up, if you couldn't see it. And so that is going to be one of the raffle prizes. Yes, one of you lucky winners is going to get super organized in your bathroom. And anyway, that's been one of my absolute favorites. Another one of my really favorite things, and I've talked about this on some of the calls, is something that my mom bought me early on. And I thought, oh gosh, this is just going to be obnoxious, but it's been the best thing, is a talking clock. Now, this talking clock tells me the time every hour on the hour from 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. It just sits in the corner of my office and keeps track of time for me. Yes, we have our phones, but they're not always on us. Well, at least I don't have it connected to me 24/7. And I can be in my bedroom. I can be in another room down the hall, and I'll just hear it in the, just in the background, 2 p.m., 3 p.m. Because when you can't see clocks or just look over, to a wall or to a clock radio, if you will, you tend to lose track of time because you just aren't looking or can't see a clock anywhere, even on your computer. So just having this shout, it's not shout, it's not yelling at you, but it just announces the time every hour. And I just, it's a little check. Okay, it's 3 o'clock. I know I have to be on a call at 4. I have an hour. And you can tap on the top of it and it will say 4 p.m. or 4:05 or 4:10, whatever time it is. And then you tap it twice, it'll tell you the date. And it resets itself with, it resets itself with daylight savings, the whole thing. It's all super fancy. Anyway, it's not the most beautiful little thing, but if you just tuck it away, I'm telling you, you're going to think it's one of the best little things you've ever put in your home. Because again, it's just that little reminder you need to make sure you keep track with your day. All right. That's my other little favorite thing. How about you?
No, I'm a project manager. So I think I'm like smiling over here because all this sounds lovely to kind of keep track of all those things. So that sounds awesome.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things that I have a hard time with is that I always lost my keys. Like I will walk in the door and I have like a bag full of groceries because I walk and get my groceries. I have my keys in my hand. I set down my groceries. I'm trying to unload and I'm like, where did I just put my keys? Or you're like walking in, I'm walking in with the dog. Like I'm trying to like handle the dog or like snow boots and like, where'd my keys go? And so there's a couple of things out there now that are fantastic, but we actually have one and it's a tile. So it's a cute little square. It's probably an inch by inch. And it's all set up with Bluetooth. And so I put a tile on my keys. And so if I'm ever looking for my keys, I can just send a quick beep to my tile and it will start beeping and I find my keys. My friends are tagging their dogs because the other brand out there is obviously Apple that you can buy, I think a 4-pack of AirTags. They're obviously they're definitely Apple's pricier, like let's be real, but the same concept, Bluetooth tracking, and it works great. Both batteries last about a year, and depending on like the packages you buy with AirTags or tiles, you're able to replace the battery or whatever. But it's got a great radius, and that's been really helpful for me as tiles, just kind of keep track of stuff.
Yeah, I think we also we have an Echo Dot.
We do.
We have an Echo Dot, which is, in the Alexa family, right? And one thing that I like about it, I think you can tell me if Alexa does this, but Google does this. If I can't find my phone, I ask Google to call my phone. And so Google will call my phone and I will just listen for wherever it's ringing in the house. And I have been known to start running throughout the house and like, doing these stance of like, shh, listen, listening for the ring of my phone. Hopefully it's not on mute, do not disturb, because then that's bad too. But I don't know if Alexa does that too, or you probably connect it one way or another.
Yeah, definitely.
You must be able to do it.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. It'll do that. Or like even drop in, like I can drop into my mom. She's not here now, so I can tell her this. I can like drop into her Dot.
Oh, yeah.
That's creepy.
Yeah. We can do Google Announce in the whole house. And my son has done that a few times. And it's like really? You're in the house. Okay. Really?
Whenever I have good news, I like play a song to my mom's Dot and I tell her like something like this girl's on fire or something. And so that blast in their house, it's hilarious. But anyways, we're giving bad ideas. But let's talk about the staple, like the one staple that every person needs to have.
What's that?
Bump dots.
Dots. Yes. I'm gonna forget bump dots.
Like I've bump dotted most of my house. And the big things that I bump dot is my oven. Just like so I know the different settings. Microwave, I bump dot. I did bump dot my keyboard when I was first losing vision, just because it was really easy because I didn't know the keyboard as well as I thought I did. So those are kind of the biggies that I bumped dot. What about you, Maria?
I bump dotted, my microwave. I have a bump dot on the 5, so I know if I'm doing the keypad, or a bump dot on the 30 seconds, because if something's 2 minutes, you just press the 30 seconds 4 times.
Good point,
easy. Or the start button, or something like, I don't know. I I just fidget around, look for the 30 seconds. It usually works. Sometimes you can put it on the remote, on our remote for our TV. I have it on the on button, and then we can control my TV. I'm not the tech person in the house with voice. So I have a bump dot on where I can press and actually tell the TV what to
Ooh,
play.
that's cool.
I don't know what it's called, but my son's not here to tell me, so I just have to go with that. But I know, and I have different, they're different bump dots. So I know which one's the start by the feel. The smaller ones the start, the bigger ones the press and tell it what to play, you know, Netflix or whatever. So the bump dots come in different sizes, different shapes, flat, big, tall, short, and basically they're little polymer, you know, rounded buttons, if you will, with flat backs that are sticky. So they pretty much stick on everything. Washing machines, I have my bump dots on.
Yeah. Oh yeah, me too.
Washing machine, so I know the settings. I want it on normal, cold, you know, so that's always set on that. Or if it gets off, I know to do the. So I had to get kind of the old school washer when I bought one, because the new ones are all flat screen, all the fancy, and you just can't tell anything on those. You just can't tell anything. So I purposely bought in kind of the old school dials, but that was better because it was tactile. So I could tell by the little clicks of the dials and get it to where it needed to be. And so I put the bump dots on there and know where to reset it in case it gets changed. Same on the dryer.
Yeah. So
put
when
them
I
on
had
there.
roommates, some of my roommates thought my bump dots were, I mean, some can be clunky, right?
Yeah.
So I got lock knots. And so they're like a much lower profile, like clear bump dot. And so we have some of those too. Because you could just for a mix. So sometimes the like bigger ones are great, and sometimes the like more or less lower profiles are kind of
Mhm.
perfect. And
Yeah.
you know, whatever floats your boat.
Yeah, I do have them on my keyboard because I'm, you know, I can't see the keyboard and all of that kind of thing. But you know what, I just, one thing I just did is I got a set of 3 different lip balms in 3 different colors. One's lighter, one's kind of a medium, one's kind of a cherry bomb red. And I thought, how am I going to tell these apart? Well, so I took my bump dots out, and this, I know it sounds goofy, but this is what we do. And I took out a bump dot that was kind of just really a low profile, and I put it on the top of the really light colored one, thinking, okay, it's light, it's low, it's not very bold. The medium sized one, you get where I'm going. I got kind of a higher, bigger bump dot, a little bit higher, more profile on it. I went, that's the medium-ish colored one. And then on the cherry bomb red, I went with a pretty big, you know, high profile bump dot. So I know that's the bold one. That's the bold color. And I put that on the top of all each individual lip balm. So now I just feel the top and I know which colors each one is.
I love that.
Yeah.
I put a lock knot, the like lower profile skinny one or clearer one. I put that on my credit card. Now that we're tapping versus swiping, it's super easy. So I can just put that little bump dot at the edge. I know which one I'm grabbing, then I tap and go and stick it right back in my wallet.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, just grab and go. So then I have 2 credit cards, so I know which one I'm going to be using the whole time. Credit card, debit card.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so there's so many different uses there is for all of them. And again, you can find them on Amazon. You can find them again at MaxGauge. You can find them on different visual impairment websites. You can get them on sale. They can come in. I mean, every colors don't matter for us because we don't see color. But a lot of people would rather just have clear, so they're not super obvious, you know, around the house kind of a thing. Because I've had people come over like, what is this all over your microwave? I'm like, don't touch them. Do not touch them. And when they peel off, it's the biggest bummer because you're like, where did I put my bump dots? Because you got to replace it. And then you don't know where you put your bump dots. You're like, I need a new bump dot.
Bonus, if you live in an apartment, it will not ruin any appliances. I've moved multiple times. I've
they just peel
pull
off.
those things right off, and yeah, it doesn't leave anything behind and nothing gets ruined. So anyone in an apartment life, I've got you.
Yeah, actually, Jim over there, I'm always fussing with the air conditioning. I'm always like, can you turn the air conditioning on in the car? Can you turn it up? Can you turn it up? Can you turn it down? Can you turn it down? Can you turn it on? So the air conditioning dial is kind of flat. So he says he's going to put a bump dot on the up in the car so I can just get over there and go press up because I want it higher all the time. So we're going to put a bump dot on the car on the console for the air conditioning, so the blind girl can turn the air conditioning up.
I love
Yeah.
it.
I think that's good communication, Jim. That's perfect. Yeah. Sighted supporter bonus. So anyway, so yeah, again, you put them in the car, but I think the heat sometimes can make them kind of melt off. So you have to kind of watch that too on the ovens and things like that. So anyway, so is that about all we have to talk about?
Yeah, I think that's it.